The whispers started before Danny Reeves even stepped off the transport ship. Is that really a human? I heard they breathe a gas that rusts metal. My father said their planet kills everything that lands on it. Danny pretended not to hear. He was 17 years old, standing in the arrival bay of Galactic Unity Academy with a backpack over his shoulder and a nervous smile on his face. He was the first human to ever attend this school. That fact made him either very brave or very stupid, and he was not sure which one yet. The station was beautiful. Crystal walls reflected soft blue light. Plants from 100 different worlds grew in floating gardens. Students of every shape and size moved through the corridors. Some had scales. Some had feathers. Some looked like walking clouds or living gems. Danny felt very small and very pink standing among them. A tall figure approached him. She had 4 arms, gray skin covered in fine wrinkles, and kind eyes that seemed to hold centuries of wisdom. This was Counselor Heska, the administrator assigned to help Danny adjust to academy life. "Welcome, Danny Reeves of Earth," she said. Her voice was warm despite her formal words. "We are honored to have you join our learning community." "Thank you," Danny said. "I'm really excited to be here." Counselor Heska guided him through the station. She explained the class schedules, the dormitory assignments, and the dining arrangements. When she mentioned food, her tone became careful. "You have been granted a special dietary allowance," she said. "Human biology is quite different from most species. The universal nutrient paste may not meet all your requirements." Danny nodded. He had read about this in his preparation materials. Most alien food was designed to be safe for everyone, which meant it was basically tasteless protein mush. Humans needed things that other species considered dangerous. "I packed some food from home," Danny said. "It is still in quarantine, but it should clear in a few days." Counselor Heska's expression flickered with something that might have been concern. "Yes, the quarantine officers will inspect everything carefully." She stopped at a door marked with symbols Danny's translator chip identified as his room number. "Your orientation partner will meet you here in 1 hour. Her name is Rila. She is Vethani, a species known for their curiosity and intelligence. She will help you find your way." Danny thanked her and stepped into his new room. It was small but comfortable, with a bed shaped for a human body and a window looking out at the stars. He set down his bag and took a deep breath. He could do this. He could make friends. He could show everyone that humans were not monsters. 1 hour later, a soft knock came at his door. Danny opened it to find a girl about his age with translucent blue skin and large silver eyes. She was beautiful in a way that reminded him of moonlight on water. She was also clearly terrified. "Hello," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I am Rila. I am here to show you the academy." "Rila, I am Danny. It is nice to meet you." She flinched slightly when he reached out to shake her hand. It took Danny a moment to realize she was afraid of touching him. He lowered his hand slowly and smiled instead. "Should we go see the school?" he asked gently. Rila nodded and began walking. Danny followed, noticing how she kept at least 2 feet of distance between them at all times. As they moved through the corridors, other students stopped to stare. Some pressed against walls to let Danny pass. Others simply stood frozen, watching him like he was a wild animal that had wandered into their home. Danny tried to ignore it. He asked Rila questions about the academy, about her classes, about her home world. She answered in short, careful sentences, never meeting his eyes for long. Finally, they reached the cafeteria. It was a vast circular room filled with tables where students of different species sat together. The moment Danny walked in, the noise died. Hundreds of eyes turned toward him. The silence was so complete that Danny could hear his own heartbeat. "Maybe we should sit in the corner," Rila suggested quickly. They found a small table away from the crowd. Danny looked at the menu displayed on the table's surface. Every option was some form of nutrient paste in different colors. He chose the green one because it reminded him of peas. It tasted like nothing. Not bad, not good, just nothing. Danny forced himself to swallow and smile. "This is great," he lied. Rila watched him eat with obvious fascination. "You consume nutrients through your mouth opening. I have seen videos, but it is strange to watch in person." "How did Vethani eat?" Danny asked. We absorb nutrients through our skin. We sit in nutrient baths for 1 hour each day. Danny nodded, genuinely interested. That sounds relaxing, like a spa treatment. Rila tilted her head, her translator chip working on the unfamiliar term. I do not know what a spa is, but yes, it is pleasant. For a brief moment, she almost smiled. Then she seemed to remember who she was talking to, and her expression became guarded again. Danny sighed internally. This was going to take time. Hey, Rila, he said casually. I should mention that my food package from Earth will arrive soon. I packed some snacks from home. 3 students at the nearest table suddenly stood up and walked away. Rila's silver eyes went wide with fear. Snacks, she repeated. From Earth. Yeah, just some normal stuff. Apples, chocolate, chips. Nothing special. Rila looked at him like he had just announced he was carrying nuclear weapons in his backpack. Danny wondered if maybe he should have kept that information to himself. 3 days of nutrient paste had left Danny feeling like a shadow of himself. He sat in his morning class trying to focus on interstellar navigation, but his body was screaming for real food. His skin felt pale. His energy was low. Even his thoughts seemed slower than usual. The professor, a floating sphere of golden light named Instructor Van, noticed his condition. Human student, you appear diminished. Are you experiencing illness? Every head in the classroom turned to look at Danny. He felt his cheeks flush with embarrassment. I am fine, he said, just a little tired. After class, Rila approached him with concern in her silver eyes. Over the past 3 days, she had become slightly less afraid of him. Not comfortable exactly, but willing to stand within arm's reach. You do not look well, she said. Your skin color has changed. It was pinker before. Danny laughed weakly. You noticed that? Yeah, I need different food. The nutrient paste does not have everything my body requires. What do you require? Before Danny could answer, his communication device buzzed. A message from quarantine services appeared on the screen. His package from Earth had been cleared for release. Danny's face lit up with genuine joy. My food is here. He practically ran to the quarantine office, with Rila hurrying behind him. When they arrived, a nervous-looking official handed Danny a sealed container covered in bright orange biohazard stickers. This has been scanned and deemed safe for human consumption only, the official said. Do not share these items with other species under any circumstances. Doing so could result in severe injury or death. Danny thanked him and carried the container to the cafeteria. By now, word had spread. When he arrived, he found a small crowd of curious students gathered at a safe distance. Among them was Groot, a moldery student whose body was made of interconnected fungal structures. Groot communicated through releasing different colored spores, and right now, those spores were bright green with curiosity. Danny sat down and opened the container. The smell of Earth food filled the air immediately. Several students backed away. One small creature that looked like a floating jellyfish actually fled the room entirely. What is that smell? Rila asked, her nose membranes fluttering. Food, Danny said simply. He reached into the container and pulled out a red apple. The apple was perfect, round and shiny. It caught the light beautifully. Danny's mouth watered just looking at it. He raised it to his lips and took a big, crunching bite. Groot's spores turned bright yellow in alarm. A burst of chemical signals filled the air, which Danny's translator interpreted as extreme panic. Stop, Groot's spore word said. The seeds of that fruit contain cyanide compounds. You are poisoning yourself. Danny paused mid-chew. He looked at the apple, then at Groot, then back at the apple. He swallowed. Yeah, the seeds have a tiny bit of cyanide, he said. But humans do not eat the seeds. And even if we did, our bodies can handle small amounts. Groot's spores shifted to confused purple. Handle? You can process cyanide. In small doses, sure. Danny took another bite of the apple. The crunch echoed through the silent cafeteria. Next, he pulled out a chocolate bar. The brown wrapper crinkled as he opened it. A student with crystalline skin named Pella immediately stepped backward, nearly knocking over a table. Is that theobromine? Pella asked, her voice high with fear. That is a cardiac toxin. It stops hearts. Not human hearts, Danny said. He bit off a piece of chocolate and chewed with obvious pleasure. This is one of our favorite foods. We give it to people we love. You give poison to loved ones? Another student whispered. Danny decided not to explain Valentine's Day. He reached into the container again and pulled out a yellow lemon. He cut it in half with a small knife from his kit. The sharp citrus smell made several students gag. Oh no, Rilla whispered. Is that citric acid? Danny, that would dissolve my internal membranes. I would die in minutes. Danny squeezed the lemon over a bag of chips he had also brought. The juice dripped down, coating the thin slices of fried potato. It adds flavor, he said, popping a chip into his mouth. Rilla looked like she might faint. Finally, Danny pulled out his secret weapon, a small bottle of red liquid. He unscrewed the cap, and the smell hit the room like a physical force. What is that? Groot asked, spores now pure white with terror. Hot sauce, Danny said. It contains capsaicin. It makes food spicy. Capsaicin is a chemical weapon, a voice said from the doorway. Everyone turned to see a tall, stern figure in an official uniform. It is classified as a Class 3 irritant by Galactic safety standards. This was Inspector Voss, a Kelmari health officer with dark blue scales and cold eyes. He had been monitoring Danny's food package since it arrived. Danny looked at the hot sauce bottle, then at Inspector Voss. It is just hot sauce. Humans eat this every day. You eat chemical weapons every day? When you put it like that, it sounds bad. Inspector Voss pointed at the container. I am confiscating these items, pending a full safety review. You will come with me for decontamination. Danny's heart sank. He had barely gotten to enjoy his food before it was being taken away. But he knew arguing would only make things worse. As he stood to follow Inspector Voss, Rilla stepped forward. He was not hurting anyone, she said quietly. He was just eating. Inspector Voss looked at her with cold disdain. He was exposing this entire cafeteria to toxic substances. Be grateful I am not quarantining everyone who breathed the air in this room. Danny gave Rilla a small, grateful smile. It was the first time anyone had defended him since he arrived. As he was led away, he heard Groot's spore words floating behind him. Humans are absolutely insane. Danny could not really argue with that. The medical bay smelled like nothing, which Danny found deeply unsettling. He sat on an examination table while doctors in sealed suits scanned every inch of his body. They treated him like a bomb that might explode at any moment. Inspector Voss stood in the corner, arms crossed, watching everything with suspicious eyes. The scans are complete, announced the head doctor, a Panari female with trembling hands. The results are disturbing. What did you find? Inspector Voss demanded. The doctor pulled up a holographic display of Danny's internal organs. The image floated in the air, showing his stomach, intestines, and other systems in vivid detail. His digestive system contains hydrochloric acid, she said. The concentration is strong enough to dissolve most organic materials within minutes. Several medical staff members stepped back involuntarily. That is just stomach acid, Danny said. All humans have it. The doctor continued as if he had not spoken. His immune system is even more concerning. It appears to be in a constant state of warfare. White blood cells are actively hunting and destroying foreign organisms throughout his body at all times. Is he sick? Inspector Voss asked. No, this appears to be his normal state. His body treats existence itself as a battle. Danny wanted to explain that this was just how immune systems worked, but he was too tired to argue. The past few hours had drained him completely. Counselor Heska arrived just as the examination finished. She looked worried but determined. Inspector Voss, she said firmly, this student has done nothing wrong. Eating food from his home planet is not a crime. He exposed hundreds of students to toxic substances. He ate lunch. The fact that human food is toxic to other species does not make it illegal for him to consume it. The argument went back and forth for nearly an hour. In the end, a compromise was reached. Danny could keep his Earth food, but he had to eat it in a special sealed room designed for hazardous materials. He was also required to wear a warning badge indicating that he might be carrying dangerous substances. It was humiliating, but Danny accepted it because he had no other choice. That evening, alone in his room, Danny stared out the window at the stars. He wondered if coming here had been a mistake. Back on Earth, he was normal. Here, he was a walking disaster. A soft knock interrupted his thoughts. He opened the door to find Rila standing there, looking nervous. "May I come in?" she asked. Danny stepped aside to let her enter. She moved carefully, still maintaining some distance, but less than before. "I wanted to apologize," she said, "for how you were treated today. It was not fair. It is okay. I understand why everyone is scared." Rila shook her head. "No, you do not. After the cafeteria incident, I went to the Academy database. I researched Earth." She paused, her silver eyes wide with remembered horror. "Danny, your planet is classified as a Category 12 death world. That is the highest danger rating in the galactic system." Danny was not surprised. He had heard this before during his preparation training. "Yeah, Earth is pretty intense," he admitted. "Intense." Rila's voice rose slightly. "The database said your world has giant storms that shoot lightning from the sky. It said your oceans contain creatures that can swallow ships whole. It said your sun bombards you with radiation every single day. Well, when you list it all at once like that, how are you alive?" Rila interrupted. "How is any human alive?" Danny thought about this question carefully. It was something he had never really considered before. On Earth, survival was just normal. You avoided the dangerous things, you ate what was available, you adapted to your environment. Everyone did it. "I guess we just learned to live with it," he finally said. "Earth is our home. We did not have anywhere else to go, so we figured out how to survive." Rila sat down on the edge of his bed, forgetting her usual caution. "The database also mentioned something that confused me. It said humans are classified as non-aggressive by galactic standards. Despite everything on your world, you are considered peaceful. Is that surprising? It makes no sense. You evolved on the deadliest planet known to exist. Your bodies can process poison. Your immune systems never stop fighting. You should be the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. But instead, you formed diplomatic relations with every species you encountered. You joined a Galactic Unity Council peacefully. You sent exchange students to schools." She gestured at Danny. "You eat lunch in cafeterias and try to make friends." Danny smiled sadly. "Maybe that is exactly why we are peaceful. We know how hard survival is. We know what it means to struggle against a world that wants to kill you. So when we meet other species, we do not see enemies. We see potential friends who might help us survive." Rila was silent for a long moment. Then she did something that surprised them both. She reached out and touched Danny's hand. Her skin was cool against his. He could see the faint glow of her internal organs through her translucent flesh. "I think I understand now," she said softly. "You are not a monster. You are a survivor. And survivors look for allies, not victims." Before Danny could respond, his door burst open. Groot floated in, spores flashing excited green. "Danny, Rila, the Academy database has information about human cooking. Did you know they apply heat to their food until it changes molecular structure? They call it cooking, and they do it to almost everything they eat." Rila pulled her hand back quickly, embarrassed. Danny laughed. It was the first real laugh he had experienced since arriving at the Academy. "Yeah, Groot, that is called cooking. Do you want me to tell you about it?" Groot's spores turned eager purple. "Yes, tell me everything." And so Danny spent the rest of the evening explaining Earth cooking to a fungus alien and a blue-skinned girl who had just started to see him as something other than a threat. It was, he decided, a good start. The Academy Gardens at night were the most peaceful place Danny had ever known. Bioluminescent plants from distant worlds glowed in soft colors. Alien flowers released gentle fragrances into the recycled air. Small creatures that looked like floating stars drifted between the branches of trees that had never known sunlight. Danny came here every evening now, and he was never alone. Rila and Groot always joined him. Sometimes other students appeared too, their curiosity finally overcoming their fear. Tonight, a small crowd had gathered. Word had spread that the human told stories about his death world, and many wanted to hear for themselves. "Tell us about the seasons," Groot requested, spores pulsing with eager purple light. Danny leaned back against a tree that hummed quietly with its own internal music. "Okay, So on Earth, our planet tilts as it orbits our sun. This means different parts of the planet receive different amounts of heat throughout the year. We call these changes seasons. How much does the temperature vary? Asked Pella, the crystalline student who had been so afraid of chocolate. In some places, it can swing from -40 degrees to +40 degrees over the course of a year. Several students made sounds of disbelief. That is an 80-degree range, Rila said. How does any life survive such extreme fluctuations? We adapt, Danny said simply. In winter, we wear thick clothes and build fires to stay warm. In summer, we seek shade and drink lots of water. Some animals grow thick fur in cold months and shed it when the warmth returns. Others simply sleep through winter entirely. Sleep through an entire season. A small moth-like student named Kira fluttered her wings in amazement. That sounds terrifying. We call it hibernation. Bears do it. Some squirrels too. Danny pulled out his personal tablet and showed them pictures of Earth. Mountains covered in snow. Deserts baking under harsh sunlight. Rainforests thick with impossible green life. Oceans that stretched beyond the horizon. Your world is beautiful, Rila admitted quietly. I did not expect that. Most humans think so. We fight pretty hard to protect it. Groot floated closer, examining an image of a thunderstorm. What is that? The bright lights in the sky. Lightning. It is electricity that builds up in clouds and then releases in massive bolts. It can kill instantly. It starts fires. It strikes the ground with enough force to shatter trees. And humans simply exist beneath these electricity explosions? Kira asked. We call them storms. They happen regularly. Sometimes we even watch them from our windows because they are pretty. Danny smiled at their horrified expressions. We also have tornadoes, hurricanes, earthquakes, and volcanoes. Earth really does try to kill us in creative ways. Yet you do not leave, Pella observed. Where would we go? Earth is our home. We love it, danger and all. The conversation shifted to food, as it always seemed to when Danny was involved. Explain cooking again, Groot requested. I understand you apply heat, but why? Raw food can make us sick, Danny explained. Earth is full of tiny organisms called bacteria. Some of them live in our food and can hurt us if we eat them. Heat kills these organisms, making the food safe. So you destroy your food to make it safer? Rilla asked. We transform it. Cooking changes the texture and flavor of food. It makes tough things soft and soft things crispy. It brings out flavors that were not there before. Danny's eyes lit up as he talked about this. My grandmother used to make this dish called pot roast. She would take a tough piece of meat and cook it slowly for hours until it became so tender it fell apart. The smell would fill the whole house. My family would gather around the table, and we would eat together and talk and laugh. His voice had grown, soft with memory. The aliens around him were silent, sensing something important. Food is not just survival for humans, Danny continued. It is connection. We share meals with people we care about. We celebrate special days with special foods. When someone is sad, we bring them food to show we care. That is why you try to share chocolate with me, Rilla realized. Even though it would kill me. Danny laughed. Yeah, I did not think that through. But the instinct was right. I wanted to share something good with a friend. Kira moved closer, her moth-like wings catching the garden light. What does chocolate taste like? I have always wondered. Danny thought carefully about how to describe it. It is sweet, but also a little bitter. It melts on your tongue. When you eat it, something in your brain releases chemicals that make you feel happy. Humans actually become addicted to it sometimes. You become addicted to a poison that makes you happy. Groot espores flash confused colors. We become addicted to lots of things that can hurt us. Coffee, sugar, spicy food. Humans are complicated. The group sat in comfortable silence for a while, watching the bioluminescent garden glow around them. Then Kira said something that surprised everyone. I think human food smells amazing. Everyone turned to look at her. The hot sauce especially, she continued, her antennae twitching. It made my sensory organs tingle. Not painfully, just intensely. I found myself wanting to move closer, not farther away. Danny grinned. Maybe Luminari can handle some human food. We should test it someday, very carefully. Before anyone could respond, a sound cut through the peaceful night. An alarm, loud and urgent. Emergency lights began flashing throughout the garden. A calm but serious voice spoke through the station speakers. Attention all students and staff. A hull breach has been detected in the lower residential wing. All personnel should shelter in place immediately. This is not a drill. Repeat, this is not a drill. Danny was on his feet instantly. Lower residential wing. That is where the first-year dormitories are. Rila's face went pale. My younger sibling, Kiva, lives in that wing. The garden began to empty as students rushed toward shelter. But Danny noticed something in Rila's silver eyes that he recognized. It was the same look he had seen in his father's eyes when their neighbor's house caught fire back on Earth. The look of someone who could not just hide and wait. "Come on," Danny said, grabbing her hand. "Let's find out what is happening." Chaos filled the corridors as Danny and Rila pushed through crowds of panicking students. Emergency lights painted everything in harsh red. Security officers shouted orders that nobody seemed to follow. The normal calm of the academy had shattered completely. They reached the security checkpoint outside the lower residential wing just as Counselor Heska arrived. Her 4 arms moved rapidly, accessing multiple data screens at once. "What happened?" Danny demanded. Counselor Heska's face was grim. "A micrometeor struck the station. The breach is small, but it damaged a life support junction. Chemical coolant is leaking into the affected corridor." "What kind of chemical?" Rilla asked, her voice shaking. "Chlorine gas. The concentration is already lethal for most species." Rilla grabbed Counselor Heska's arm. "My sibling is in there. Kiva is in that wing." "I know." Counselor Heska's voice was heavy with sorrow. 3 students were in that corridor when the breach occurred. "We're trying to find a way to reach them, but anyone we send in will die from the gas exposure." Danny's mind raced. Chlorine gas. He knew about chlorine. It was used in swimming pools back on Earth. It was dangerous, yes, but not instantly lethal to humans in moderate concentrations. His body could handle it for a short time. "I can go in," he said. Everyone turned to stare at him. "The chlorine will hurt me," Danny admitted, "but it will not kill me. Not quickly anyway. I can survive long enough to reach the students and bring them out." Counselor Heska shook her head. "I cannot allow a student to risk their life like this." "Can your security officers survive the gas?" Silence was her answer. "Can anyone else on the station survive it?" More silence. Danny stepped forward. "I spent summers working construction with my uncle back on Earth. I know how to do emergency repairs. I can seal the breach and save those students. But I need to go now, before the gas concentration gets worse." Rila grabbed his hand, tears streaming down her translucent face. "Danny, you could die." "I could," he agreed. "But your sibling will definitely die if I do nothing. That is not a choice I can make." Counselor Heska studied him for a long moment. Then she reached a decision. "Get him a basic filter mask and repair tools. And may the stars watch over you, Danny Reeves." 2 minutes later, Danny stood at the sealed door to the contaminated zone. The filter mask they gave him was designed for alien biology and would barely help. But it was better than nothing. He took a deep breath of clean air. Then he stepped through the door. The gas hit him immediately. Even through the mask, his eyes began to burn. His throat felt like someone had scraped it with sandpaper. Every breath was painful, but he kept moving. The corridor was filled with yellow-green fog. Emergency lights flickered overhead. Danny could hear the hiss of leaking gas somewhere ahead. He found the first student collapsed against a wall. A young Panari, unconscious but breathing. Danny lifted them onto his shoulder and kept going. The second student was Vethani like Rila. Their translucent skin had turned a sickly gray. Danny checked for a pulse and found one, weak but present. He draped them over his other shoulder. His lungs were screaming now. Tears poured from his burning eyes. He could feel the chlorine attacking his body with every step. But he was not done yet. He found Kiva in a small alcove near the breach itself. The young Vethani had tried to seal the hole with their own clothing, a brave but futile gesture. They were barely conscious. "Hey," Danny said, his voice raspy. "Your sibling sent me. Let us get you out of here." Kiva's silver eyes, so much like Rila's, focused on him with confusion. "You are the human. Yeah, hold on to my neck. With 3 students now clinging to him, Danny turned toward the breach. He could see the hole in the wall, about the size of his fist, with white repair foam canisters mounted nearby for exactly this kind of emergency. His hand shook as he grabbed a canister. His vision was starting to blur, but he aimed carefully and sprayed the expanding foam into the breach. It sealed within seconds. The gas leak stopped. The ventilation systems immediately began clearing the air, but Danny had nothing left. His legs gave out. He collapsed to the floor, the 3 students falling with him. He lay there, staring at the ceiling through eyes that could barely see. His chest heaved with painful breaths. Every part of his body felt like it was on fire. But he was smiling. He had done it. When Danny woke, he was in the medical bay. Everything was white and blurry. "He is awake," someone shouted. Faces appeared above him. Counselor Heska, Hrot, Kira, and Rila, her silver eyes red from crying. "You absolute fool," Rila whispered. "You beautiful, stupid, impossible fool." Danny tried to speak, but his throat was too damaged. He made a small croaking sound instead. "Do not talk," the doctor ordered. "Your eyes and lungs suffered significant damage. You will recover fully, but it will take time." Danny looked at Rila and raised a questioning eyebrow. She understood immediately. "Kiva is fine," she said. "All 3 students are fine, because of you." Groot spores filled the air with warm golden light. "The entire academy is talking about what you did. A human walked through poison gas to save strangers. They are calling you a hero." Danny shook his head weakly. He had not done anything heroic. He had just done what needed to be done. But as he lay there, surrounded by friends who looked at him with something beyond fear or curiosity, he realized something important. This was not just survival anymore. This was family. The door opened and Inspector Voss walked in. Everyone tensed. The health officer who had treated Danny like a biohazard now stood at the foot of his bed with an unreadable expression. "The Galactic Council has been informed of your actions," Inspector Voss said stiffly. "They wish to discuss the future of human integration into galactic society." He paused, then added something that surprised everyone. "I may have misjudged your species, human. You have my respect." Then he turned and left before Danny could respond. Rilla squeezed Danny's hand gently. "Things are going to change now, are they not?" Danny managed a small nod. Everything was about to change. 1 month later, the Grand Hall of Galactic Unity Academy was filled with beings from across the galaxy. Danny stood at the center of attention, which was exactly where he did not want to be. His eyes had healed completely, though they still watered sometimes. His lungs were almost back to normal, but his nerves were definitely not okay. The Galactic Council delegation sat in an elevated viewing area. 7 representatives from 7 different sectors of known space. The most powerful beings in the galaxy had come to observe one human teenager eat lunch. Counselor Heska stood beside Danny, offering silent support. Rila, Groot, and Kira watched from the crowd with encouraging expressions. The head of the delegation was an ancient being named Elder Moro. Their body was difficult to describe because it seemed to exist in multiple dimensions at once. Parts of them flickered in and out of visibility. Their voice, when they spoke, came from everywhere and nowhere. "Danny Reeves of Earth," Elder Moro said. "We have reviewed reports of your actions during the station emergency. We have also studied recordings of your dietary habits. The Council has questions." Danny swallowed nervously. "I will answer whatever I can. First, we would like to observe your consumption of Earth food directly. We have arranged for a proper meal to be provided." On cue, a service robot rolled in carrying a tray. Danny's eyes widened when he saw what was on it. Real Earth food, not just snacks, but a full meal. Curry with rice, a glass of coffee, and for dessert, a thick slice of chocolate cake. "Where did you get this?" Danny asked in amazement. "The Earth Embassy was kind enough to provide ingredients," Counselor Heska explained. "We thought you deserved a proper meal after everything you have been through." Danny sat down at a small table that had been set up for this demonstration. The entire hall watched in tense silence as he picked up his fork. He took a bite of curry. The spices hit his tongue, and he nearly cried with joy. Real food. Finally, several delegates physically recoiled at the smell. That curry contains capsaicin concentrations that would cause severe pain to most species, one delegate observed. Yet you consume it with apparent pleasure. It is delicious, Danny confirmed, taking another bite. He sipped his coffee next. The hot, bitter liquid warmed him from the inside. Caffeine, another delegate said, a stimulant that would cause cardiac arrest in 70% of known species. You drink it for breakfast. Most humans do, yes. He finished the curry and moved to the chocolate cake. The rich, dark dessert was everything he had been missing for weeks. He ate it slowly, savoring every bite. When he was done, Elder Morrow spoke again. Danny Reeves, you have demonstrated that humans can safely consume substances that would kill nearly any other species in the galaxy. You have also demonstrated that humans will risk their lives to save strangers. These two facts seem contradictory. Explain. Danny wiped his mouth with a napkin and stood to face the council. This was the question he had been thinking about ever since the emergency. Earth is not a kind planet, he began. It tried to kill our ancestors every single day. Predators hunted them. Diseases attacked them. The weather itself could be deadly. By all logic, humans should have died out millions of years ago. He paused, gathering his thoughts. But we survived because we learned to work together. One human alone could not fight a predator or survive a winter. But a group of humans could. We shared food. We shared shelter. We protected each other's children. Cooperation was not a choice. It was the only way to survive. The hall was completely silent now. That is why we are peaceful despite coming from a death world. Danny continued. We know how precious life is because we have fought so hard to keep it. When we meet other species, we do not see threats. We see potential allies. We see people who might share food with us someday, or who we might share food with. He looked directly at Elder Morrow. You asked about the food, about why we eat poison and call it delicious. The answer is the same. Earth gave us nothing freely. Every source of nutrition had to be fought for, processed, transformed. We learned to take the dangerous and make it safe. We learned to take the bitter and make it sweet. That is what humans do. We take the worst parts of existence, and we find a way to make them good. Elder Morrow was silent for a long moment. When they spoke, their multidimensional voice seemed gentler somehow. The Council has made its decision. Humanity will be granted full integration status. More human students will be welcomed to academies across the galaxy. Your species has proven itself worthy of partnership. Cheers erupted from the crowd. Danny's friends rushed forward to embrace him. But Elder Morrow raised a hand, and silence fell again. Danny Reeves, we would like to offer you a position. First Human Cultural Ambassador. You would help bridge the gap between humanity and the rest of the galaxy. Danny was stunned. It was an incredible honor. But as he looked at his friends, at Counselor Heska, at the academy that had become his home, he knew his answer. I'm grateful for the offer, he said, but I would rather just finish school. Maybe become a teacher someday. Help humans and aliens understand each other, one conversation at a time. Elder Morrow made a sound that might have been laughter. A humble answer. Perhaps that is the most human thing of all. Later, after the ceremony ended and the delegates departed, Danny sat in the cafeteria with his friends. The same cafeteria that had fallen silent in fear when he first entered. Now it buzzed with conversation, and several students actually waved at him as they passed. Danny had one last piece of chocolate cake on his plate. He had saved it for this moment. Rila, he said, I've been thinking. Chocolate is toxic to most species, but I found something that might be safe for Vedhani. Well, safer. He pulled out a small piece of mild white cheese. The least dangerous Earth food he could find. Would you like to try it? He asked. Rila stared at the cheese like it was a live grenade. Then she looked at Danny's hopeful face. If it kills me, she said, I am haunting you forever. She picked up the cheese and placed it on her tongue. For a moment, nothing happened. Then her silver eyes went wide. I can taste it, she whispered. It has a texture. It has flavor. This is incredible. Groot's spores exploded with excited colors. Kira's wings fluttered with anticipation. What does it taste like? Kira demanded. Like nothing I have ever experienced, Rila said. It is creamy. It is slightly salty. It is wonderful. Danny grinned. That is what humans do. We take the dangerous and make it delicious. Around the table, beings from a dozen different worlds leaned in closer. They all wanted to know what else the strange Death Worlder might share. What other impossible flavors might exist in his toxic, beautiful, terrifying world. And for the first time in galactic history, Earth food brought species together instead of driving them apart. Danny took a bite of his chocolate cake and smiled. He was exactly where he was supposed to be,